Just picture it. It's a cold winter day, and there's a plate of steaming pierogi sitting on a wooden table. You can almost feel the warmth, right? Well, these simple little dumplings, they're so much more than just food. They're actually a history lesson, all wrapped up in dough. Because that's the real question here, isn't it? Every single bite of Polish food is a taste of the nation's turbulent and honestly triumphant past. So let's dive in and see how a country's entire identity was cooked, fermented, and preserved through the centuries. Okay, so our journey starts way back, over 1,000 years ago, with the early Slavic tribes. Long before there were fancy recipes, Polish food was really about one thing and one thing only: survival. You gotta understand, this early diet was all about practicality. It was dictated completely by the land. You had these dense forests that gave you mushrooms and game, and fertile fields that gave you millet and rye. And with those long, brutal winters, preservation wasn't just a good idea, it was a matter of life and death. That's where we get those foundational, tangy, smoky flavors that you still find in Polish food today. And the heart of every meal, kasha, a super hearty porridge of groats washed down with beer for pretty much everyone, while the rich got to enjoy this amazing mead. And then this happens. A single year that changes everything. It's the baptism of Prince Mieszko I. And this one event didn't just change Poland's religion, it completely re-engineered its kitchen. So by joining Western Christendom, Poland adopted the Catholic calendar. Now think about that. Suddenly, for almost half the year, meat was completely off the table. This forced this incredible wave of innovation, and it led to this really sophisticated meatless cuisine, a Lenten tradition that is still incredibly strong in Poland today. This foundation of, resourcefulness and adaptation really set the stage for what would become a culinary golden age. As Poland's political power grew, its plate started to become a reflection of its influence, a true crossroads between East and West. Starting in the 16th century, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was one of the biggest and most diverse states in Europe. And this wasn't just some political deal, it was a total fusion of flavors. It all culminated in the first ever Polish cookbook in 1682, which basically wrote down this new, incredibly rich cuisine for the first time. And the diversity was just mind-blowing. The Polish aristocracy started imitating Italian courts. You had Armenian merchants bringing in exotic Middle Eastern spices through big trade hubs. Hungarian and Turkish influences brought totally new ways to prepare meat and sweets. And of course, the centuries-long relationship with Jewish culture created dishes that are now considered absolute cornerstones of Polish food, like golambobki or cabbage rolls. Yeah, this wasn't about survival anymore, not even close. For the Polish nobility, the szlachta, banquets were a performance. It was all about abundance and exoticism. They were serving dishes that were meant to just awe you, to overwhelm your senses. A pretty far cry from the simple kasha their ancestors ate. But you know how these stories go. This golden age came to a pretty brutal end. The next chapter in this story is all about loss, and the taste is one of pure, unadulterated survival. In the late 18th century, Poland was literally wiped off the map, just gone, carved up by Russia, Prussia, and Austria. The nation as a political entity vanished, but the kitchen became a kind of sanctuary for its identity. I mean, the contrast is just so stark. The spectacle was gone, totally replaced by scarcity. All those diverse grains of the Commonwealth gave way to the humble, hearty potato, which, could be grown easily and gave you a big crop. Polish cuisine, which was once this powerful exporter of taste, now started absorbing the culinary traditions of its occupier. After a brief flicker of independence, the 20th century brought another huge challenge: the post-war communist era. And this period would, once again, completely redefine the Polish plate, but this time through state control. And right at the heart of this era was the rise of the bar mleczny, the milk bar. These state-run canteens were key to the whole socialist project. The idea was to offer cheap, simple meals, usually based on dairy and flour, to feed the masses efficiently. Central planning led to these constant food shortages, especially meat. So to manage this, the state didn't just ration food, it tried to ration desire itself. Official propaganda started claiming that starches were actually healthier than meat, a pretty convenient message when meat was almost impossible to find. But out of all this scarcity came just incredible creativity.
Home cooks basically became masters of improvisation. So, for instance, when there was no chocolate, they figured out a way to make a chocolate cake using just a tiny bit of raw cacao for flavor. It was like this act of culinary defiance, preserving tradition and a sense of normalcy against all odds.
And that brings us to the modern era. After decades of just survival cooking, Poland was finally free to go back and reclaim its incredibly rich culinary heritage. With the fall of communism, a culinary revolution started. Those empty shelves of the past were about to be filled with the flavors of the present and the rediscovered tastes of a forgotten golden age. Today's Polish food scene is just so dynamic. You've got chefs digging through archives, reviving pre-war recipes. Farmers are bringing back heirloom vegetables that literally vanished for decades. The markets are just bustling with variety. And those old milk bars, they've completely transformed. They've gone from being these symbols of state control to cherished, almost hipster cultural icons, loved by students and tourists alike.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. The milk bar, an institution born from a failed system, hasn't just survived, it's thrived. It's become this beloved and weirdly enduring part of the city. It's really a lesson in the universal appeal of a good, honest, affordable meal.
So, when you look at that plate of pierogi now, you see so much more than just dumplings. You see the forests of the first Slavs, the glitter of a royal court, the humble potato of the Partitions, the sheer ingenuity of a communist-era kitchen, and the vibrant creativity of a free nation. Because ultimately, the story of Polish food proves a really simple, powerful truth. What's on your plate is almost always a direct reflection of who holds the power and who gets to draw the map. I have the power of snacks.